Hello everyone, welcome to this session. In previous sessions, we have discussed about complex numbers and their properties and some functions on the set of all complex numbers like conjugate function, modulus function, like that. In this session, we shall study about argument or amplitude of a complex number. Let's start with a complex number. Let z is equal to a plus ib be any complex number with z not equal to 0. That means I am starting with a non-zero complex number. It is a complex number which is not equal to 0, which is other than 0. I'll tell why we are starting with a non-zero complex number. Now, we know how to represent complex numbers on a plane, right? We'll take the same Cartesian plane and we'll modify it into a complex plane, right? So, in representing the complex number a plus ib, what we have to do? First of all, we have to identify the ordered pair a comma b on the plane, and that will be the corresponding point for the complex number a plus ib. The ordered pair a comma b corresponds to the complex number a plus ib. So this is the complex number a plus ib, and the center of this plane is the origin. I name it as O or 0. Take it as O. O is the origin. Now join the points, the origin and the point a plus ib. And considering this as a Cartesian plane, so this line will be the distance between the points, the origin and the point a comma b. And the distance formula is, so if you have 2 points x1 y1 and x2 y2, right? So consider this as the Cartesian plane. The origin is the point 0 comma 0 and this is the point a comma b. So distance between these 2 points. So if x1 y1 and x2 y2 are the 2 points, the distance will be x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square, right? So use the same formula here. Take this as x1 y1, x2 y2. Then distance will be x2 minus x1 whole square, that is a minus 0 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square, that is b minus 0 whole square, or it is square root of a square plus b square. And we know that this is nothing but the modulus of the complex number z. So the length of the line joining the origin and the complex number a plus ib is always modulus of z. It is square root of a square plus b square. And now I take that as the value r, right? Let r equals the modulus of z. That is square root of a square plus b square. Square root of a square plus b square. Right? Now consider the angle subtended by this line with respect to the positive real axis, right? This is positive real axis. This is negative real axis. Positive imaginary axis, negative imaginary axis. Considering this as a complex plane, right? Now consider the angle subtended by this line with respect to the positive real axis and name it as theta. So now I got two real numbers now, two new real numbers. One is r and other is theta, where r is the modulus of the complex number, which actually indicates the length of the line joining the origin and the given complex number a plus ib, and theta is the angle between this line, that is the line from origin to the complex number and the positive real axis. Initially, to identify the complex number a plus ib, what we have to do, what we did initially, we wrote the corresponding ordered pair. And we mark that point on the plane, and that will be nothing but the corresponding complex number. So to identify complex numbers, initially we were using ordered pair of real numbers a and b, right? To identify complex numbers on the plane, we were using the ordered pair of real numbers a and b, where a and b were real and imaginary parts of the complex number a plus ib. Now we have new method. Now we have a new pair of real numbers r and theta to identify the complex number a plus ib. How means, so consider the complex number a plus ib. So first calculate r, that is modulus of z, which will be square root of a square plus b square. As we are considering a non-zero complex number, r will be strictly positive, right? You know, modulus of any complex number is non-negative, and as the complex number is non-zero, the modulus will also be non-zero. So the only possibility is this positive. So now what we'll do is we'll mark the length r along the positive real axis. First, mark the length r. As r is positive, we can draw or we can mark a line of length r. Now, so I take this as O and say this point as P. So now I have a line OP of length r lying on the positive real axis. Now rotate this in the anti-clockwise direction of measuring theta angle. So now I'll rotate this in an anti-clockwise direction to get the angle theta. So this point will be nothing but a plus ib, the complex number a plus ib. So if I rotate this line from positive real axis for a measure of theta angle, so consider this line along the positive real axis of length r. So if I rotate this in an anti-clockwise direction, where it stops, that will be nothing but the complex number a plus ib. So this is new method of representing the complex number a plus ib using two new real numbers r and theta. So using the ordered pair of real numbers r and theta, we can identify complex numbers on the plane, as we were identifying complex numbers using ordered pair of numbers a and b, where a and b were real and imaginary parts. Now the theta value which we are using here is called the argument or amplitude of any complex number z which we have considered. Hence, so if you want to write the definition for argument, so what is that theta? So argument of any complex number z is the angle theta subtended by the line OP, or whatever you mark this point as, subtended by the line OP with respect to the positive real axis. So this is the definition of the argument of z. So the argument, okay, first I'll consider a new diagram. So first, if I consider the ordered pair a comma b, which corresponds to the complex number a plus ib. So if I join the points a comma b and the origin 0 comma 0, so the length of this line is r, right? And this line subtends an angle, say theta, right? So mark this point as P. Take it as point P. That point P is nothing but the complex number A plus IB. So now I'll define it. The argument of Z is an angle theta subtended by the line OP, or you can write it in detail, subtended by the line joining the points, the origin and the complex number A plus IB, or in short you can use OP as shown in the figure. The argument of Z is an angle. It is an angle which we usually represent it by theta, which is subtended by the line OP with positive real axis. Right? So argument of Z is nothing but an angle. It is an angle subtended by the line OP with respect to the positive real axis. Where what is the line OP? It is the line joining the origin and the point A comma B, which corresponds to the complex number A plus IB. Now I'll continue this further. So now what I'll do is I'll draw a perpendicular line from point P to the positive real axis and name it as the point of intersection as sum A. Now consider the right angle triangle POA. So whenever you have a right angle triangle, you can talk about the trigonometric functions, right? Trigonometric functions are considered only in a right angle triangle. So now I have a right angle triangle here. So this side, length of this side is, so it is nothing but the x-axis distance of this point. So it is length A and this will be length B. So I have a right angle triangle with these lengths. So in this right angle triangle, consider trigonometric functions. So from figure, so what we have, so first of all consider cos theta. Cos of this theta is, so in a right angle triangle, cos theta means it is adjacent by hypotenuse. Adjacent is A and the length of the hypotenuse is R. Similarly, sin theta. Sin theta is opposite by hypotenuse. So in this right angle triangle, this side is called hypotenuse. The side opposite to the hypotenuse is called opposite, and the side which is adjacent to the hypotenuse is called adjacent. So hypotenuse, opposite, adjacent, and sine of theta is opposite by adjacent. Opposite by hypotenuse. Or that is, I can rewrite this set of equations as A is equal to cross multiplied. A is equal to R cos theta. B is equal to R sin theta. So what that means? So if I take theta as an argument of Z, if I say theta is argument of Z, then theta has to satisfy these two equations. So this is one definition of argument of z. So geometrically, if you want to define argument of z geometrically, it is nothing but an angle. It is an angle between the line OP and the positive real axis. And any such angle satisfies this set of equations. So using this observation, we can rewrite the definition of argument of z. And that definition is, so in other words, argument of z or you can start like this: any value of theta satisfying equation 1. That is, any value of theta satisfying this set of equations is called argument of z. So we have two definitions for argument of z. One is geometrical definition and another is analytical definition. So you can refer this one or this one, right? Now I'll come back to the definition. So if I have started with a complex number which is non-zero, so this is the point O and this is the point A comma B, which corresponds to the complex number A plus IB, and this is the angle subtended by the line, and this is nothing but argument of z. Okay, so the angle made by this line OP, with respect to positive real axis is called argument of z, where length of this line is r. And we already seen that using these two real numbers, using r and theta, we can identify the complex number A plus IB. That is, first by drawing the line OP of length r and rotating it anti-clockwise, in anti-clockwise direction of an angle theta. Right? Now what I'll do is, by this position, I'll go down for an angle 360 degree. That means an angle 2 pi. So already I have moved angle theta in anti-clockwise direction, and now I am completing an angle 2 pi. So 2 pi plus theta. So total rotation is 2 pi plus theta. And where I am? Again, I am in the same position. So first angle theta, then angle 2 pi. So I will be in the same position. So 2 pi plus theta will also give the same value of theta, because I am in the same position. So to recognize or to identify A plus IB, so what I need? Two variables, two real numbers. One is r and one is theta. So r is length of this line and theta is the measure of rotation given to this OP. So if I give theta rotation, so where I will be? I will be on this line, right? So from this point, go around a circle. Then you will come to the same point covering 2 pi angle. So first theta, then I added an angle 2 pi. So again I am getting same value, same position. So r and 2 pi plus theta. So first measuring the line r, then giving it a rotation of angle 2 pi plus theta gives the same position, right? I'll get the same position, right? Now, once again, so I have already given a rotation of 2 pi plus theta angle. Now, once again go around. So that is one more circle. Again, I reach the same point. That means plus 2 pi. That means I'll consider a line OP of length R. I'll give how much amount of rotation? 2 pi plus 2 pi, 4 pi plus theta. That means I'll take this line 1 round, 2 round plus theta. So again, I will be in the same point. So what that means? Theta, 2 pi plus theta, 4 pi plus theta, 6 pi plus theta, so on. So if I want to generalize this, only I have to get even multiples of pi. That is 2n pi. So all these rotations, all these angles will give you the same point A plus IB. So by taking the line OP of length R, give it a rotation of theta, you'll get the point P. Give it a rotation of angle 2 pi plus theta, you'll get again the point P. 4 pi plus theta, again you'll get point P. That means if you correspond R with any of these angles, right? That means taking the line of length R, giving theta rotation, you'll get the complex number A plus IB. If you take the line of length R, giving it a rotation 2 pi plus theta, you'll get a point, again P, like this. So all these values of theta will represent argument of Z. All these angles, values of angle will represent the argument of Z. So what that means, for a non-zero complex number, for any non-zero complex number, we can have infinitely many argument values. So this is observing using the geometrical definition. You can observe the same thing using this analytical definition also. You can observe this, right? So according to this, what we have defined, any value of theta satisfying these two equations, right? So A is equal to R cos theta and B is equal to R sin theta. So any value of theta which satisfies these two equations, then that value of theta is called argument of Z, right? Argument of Z. Okay, now, so if theta is argument of Z, assume that A is equal to R cos theta, B is equal to R sin theta. So if theta is an argument value, then these two equations get satisfied, right? By this equation. So if I say theta is argument of Z, then it should satisfy equation 1. Okay. Now R. So I'll rewrite cos theta as cos 2 pi plus theta. 2 pi plus theta. You know that cos of 2 pi plus theta is again cos theta, right? And similarly, R into, I'll replace sin theta by sin of 2 pi plus theta. We know that sin of 2 pi plus theta is again sin theta. This is because cos and sin are periodic functions. That means they will take repeated values in some pattern after definite intervals. That is, so the graph of sine is, so sine 0 is 0 only, sine pi by 2 is 1, which is the maximum value. So the graph of sine will look like this. It goes on, it continues. So this is the graph of sine. So at 0, sine 0 is 0. At pi by 2, sine is 1. 1. At pi, it is 0. It is 0. At 270, 3 pi by 2, it is minus 1. It is the minimum value. And once again, at 2 pi, sine is 0. Sine is 0. So this is one interval. This is one interval. And these are the possible values of sine. These are the possible values of sine for the values from 0 to 2 pi. 0 to 2 pi. So you can say this is one interval, or you can say one cycle. And now come here. It is 2 pi. So till 4 pi. Till 4 pi. And you can observe here, so the values taken by sine in this interval is same as the values taken by sine in this interval also. That means sine is periodic. It takes same values in some definite intervals. So once again, so sine 2 pi plus theta is again sine theta itself. Because if say this is theta, if this is theta, so sine theta. So if I want to move 2 pi plus 2 pi means, so you'll get somewhere here. This is 2 pi. So this is the theta measure, right? So I need 2 pi plus theta means, so 2 pi plus theta. So this is 2 pi plus theta value. So both are equal. So, and we can repeat this for any even multiple of pi. So that is not just 2 pi. We can put 4 pi also, 6 pi, 8 pi, 10 pi like this. Or in general, even multiples of pi. So cos theta is sine 2n pi plus theta. Similarly, cos also, because the graph of cos is cos 0 is 1. Cos 0 is 1. So that is, it starts here. Cos 0 is 1 and cos 90. Cos 90 is 0. Cos 90 is 0, and like this it goes on. So this is pi by 2, pi, 3 pi by 2, 2 pi. Values of cos in the interval 0 to 2 pi. And if you mark the values from 2 pi to 4 pi, we'll get the same graph. So cos is a periodic function. So cos theta is nothing but cos 2n plus 2n pi plus theta. Now observe here. So if I assume that theta is an argument value, then these two equations should hold. And in these two equations, I can replace cos theta and sin theta by cos 2n pi plus theta, sin 2n pi plus theta. So what that means? 2n pi plus theta is satisfying this set of equations. So the value of angle 2n pi plus theta is actually satisfying these two equations. A equals R cos of 2n pi plus theta, B equals R sin of 2n pi plus theta. So this angle is actually satisfying this equation. And any value of angle satisfying the equation is called argument of Z. So all these values will be argument of Z, because here n is integer. N is an integer. You can take any integral multiple, even integral multiple of pi. So it will obviously represent argument of Z. So by this definition also, we can observe that there are infinitely many argument values for a complex number, right? So note that there are infinitely many argument values for any non-zero complex number. Non-zero complex number. Non-zero complex number. So there we can observe that there are infinitely many argument values for any non-zero complex number. Right? But initially, so while defining conjugate of a complex number, or by defining modulus of a complex number, so conjugate of a complex number is unique, right? So z is equal to a plus ib, its conjugate is a minus ib, and modulus of this complex number will be unique, that is modulus of that is square root of a square plus b square. So conjugate and modulus of complex number are unique, but in case of argument, it is not. For a complex number z, argument has infinitely many values, but in calculation purpose, we need a unique value, right? So across the universe, if I say argument of some complex number z, so while calculating or while proving some results, you have to take a standard value, right? So for a given non-zero complex number, we have infinitely many argument values, and in proving some results, possibly you can take any argument values among those, but the result will not be standard across the world, right? So to overcome that, we'll choose a standard argument value for calculation purpose or for any result proving, right? So that is called the principal value of the argument. The principal value of argument. We know that. So first of all, what is the argument value? Argument means it is the angle subtended by the line OP with respect to the positive real axis, where the point P is the ordered pair A comma B, which is nothing but the complex number A plus IB. So the angle between these two lines is nothing but argument value, right? So say this is theta. So the next immediate argument value will be, so next theta means, so I have to go around one time, one cycle, then 2 pi plus theta. 2 pi plus theta. So to get the point P, so I have to again go around 2 pi. So I'll get the same position. I'll be in the same position. So 2 pi plus theta will be the immediate argument value after theta. So this is 0, right? Angle 0. So if I go anti-clockwise, this is pi by 2. This is pi. This is 3 pi by 2. This is once again 2 pi. 0 is nothing but 2 pi. So I go around theta. So to get the same position, to come to the same position, so what I have to do? I have to go like this, one complete circle. So to get the same position, I must cover one complete circle. So one complete circle means 2 pi. So after rotating angle theta, so if you come further, none of these angles will give you the position P, right? So none of these angles will be argument values. To get the same position, you have to complete the circle. So next immediate argument value will be 2 pi plus theta. So here I am after completing 2 pi plus theta. So if I go again one round, one complete circle plus 2 pi. That is next immediate argument value is 4 pi plus theta. So theta, next immediate value is 2 pi plus theta. 4 pi plus theta, 6 pi plus theta, like this, like this. Or you can, this is anti-clockwise direction. You can measure the angle in clockwise direction also. So now I have measured an angle theta, assume that, now in anti-clockwise direction, Now go back in clockwise direction, and complete a circle. Then you will come back to the same position. Start with P and go in clockwise direction, complete the circle. So 2 pi. So as we are measuring angle in clockwise direction, that is in opposite direction, that angle will be taken as negative angle. That is theta minus 2 pi. Or you can write here. So theta, that is minus 2 pi plus theta. Right? Once again, here I am, theta minus 2 pi. That means I go one round circle in the clockwise direction. Once again, I will go round in the clockwise direction. So once again, negative angle. So what it is? Minus 4 pi plus theta. So these are the angles which will give you the same position P. So these all will be argument values. And now if I mark these on the number line, right? So suppose this is 0, 2 pi, 4 pi, 6 pi, 8 pi, to the left minus 2 pi, minus 4 pi, so on. So assume that suppose theta is here. So obviously it will be an angle between 0 to 2 pi initially. Now if I add 2 pi, so this will be 2 pi plus theta. Next 4 pi plus theta, 6 pi plus theta. Similarly, if I come here, so minus 2 pi. So take 2 pi from theta. So this will be minus 2 pi plus theta minus 4 pi plus theta, like this. Right? Now observe. So these are the argument values. Now, what is the minimum difference between any two consecutive argument values? So if I take these two, the difference is, that is 2 pi plus theta minus theta. So it is 2 pi. So if I take these two consecutive argument values, the difference is 2 pi. That means difference between any two consecutive argument values is 2 pi. That means if I have an argument value, the next argument value will obviously come after 2 pi only. So now if I consider any interval of length 2 pi, So consider the interval from 0 to 2 pi, then that interval will contain only one argument value. Now from 2 pi to 4 pi, consider the interval from 2 pi to 4 pi, which is of length 2 pi. So upper limit minus lower limit will give you the length of that interval. So the length of this interval is 2 pi, and this interval contains only one argument value. Similarly, like this, you can see in this way also. Consider the interval minus 2 pi to 0, right? So this interval will also contain only one argument value, right? So what that means, any interval of length 2 pi contains exactly one argument value of z. Right? This is the observation. Next is, so what I'll do is, I'll consider the interval minus pi to pi. Minus pi to pi. Consider the interval minus pi to pi. So what is the length of this interval? Again, upper limit minus lower limit. Upper limit minus lower limit. So length of this interval is again 2 pi. So by this observation, this interval of length 2 pi should also have exactly one argument value. One argument value. And that unique argument value lying in between minus pi and pi is called the principal value of argument. Principal value of argument. And wherever you take the argument value of any complex number, by default, without referring anything, you will consider the principal value of argument. And in proving any result, usually we will take the principal value of argument. And principal value of argument is nothing but the argument value lying in the interval minus pi and pi. Right? So this is about argument of complex number. So in general, any non-zero complex number has infinitely many argument values. Infinitely many argument values. So hence we'll choose one among that. And that one is the argument value lying in between minus pi and pi. And that is called principal value of argument. Principal value of argument. And for defining the argument of complex number, you can remember that we started with non-zero complex number. Why we neglected the zero complex number? Why can't we define argument for zero complex number? Why we kept zero complex number out of this definition? That we shall see in the next session. So this is the end of the session, and thank you.